I want to welcome you back to Thrive in the Word. We're so glad that you've joined us for this teaching from the book of 1 John. You know, many times people have said, well, how can I love someone? How can I be this person that John is talking about, that constantly is showing love? You know, love is not the thing that causes us to be saved. But it's what shows the authenticity of our salvation. You see, when we love someone, it proves not only to us but to those who are around us that something is different in our lives. Now, John has been talking about the two comparisons: the way the world thinks and the way the believer thinks. And now John is coming back to this topic of love. And because love shows that something is real. I was preaching in a church not long ago, and I said, before I became a believer, I didn't want anything to do with people. I did not want to be with people at all. In fact, my idea was to get out of high school, go to college, and then move into the woods somewheres and not come in contact with people. But you know what? Something happened in me, and it was called being born again. It was called allowing love to come into my life and change me. And you know what? I love people today. I love talking to people. I probably talk to the waitresses and the mechanics and the people that come and service our house and things like that. I talk probably too much, but I just like being around them. Why? Because the love of God's on the inside of me. You know, when you go to an art dealer and say you've got a piece of art, one of the things that they're going to say is this authentic or is this a fake? Well, let me say something to you. People in this world that are around us are looking for something authentic. And sometimes they'll do things that are going to cause you to want to rise up in hate. But you know what? We as believers need to respond in love. Now, how can you do that? Well, John answers that question in verse number 7 of 1 John, the 4th chapter. Dear friends, let us continue to love one another. In other words, let's do it over and over and over and over. Let us continue to love one another. Let us continue to love the members of the body of Christ. And then he says this phrase, and this is a phrase that we need to understand. For love comes from God. The love that we need to love unconditionally, to love without expecting anything in return. That kind of love does not come from us. That doesn't come from something that we generate in our minds. That kind of love comes, first of all, from God and is deposited into our spirit, and then we project it out of our mouths and out of our actions towards someone else. Many years ago, I was in Bible college, and one of the things that I did is I ministered on the streets, and I ministered to some very undesirable types of people. Now, I'm an Iowa farm boy. That's where I was born and raised up until I was 16 years ago, and then we moved to a rural part of West Michigan. But I was in a totally different environment. But you know what I felt? I felt love for those unlovely people. For those people that were so strung out on dope that they couldn't even shave themselves. I remember taking a man in, and he had given his heart to Jesus, but his hand shook so badly. And I remember shaving him and cleaning him up. You know what? That wasn't my love. I didn't want to be around people like that in the natural. That was God's love in me. I remember getting in trouble with the Bible college I went to because I put my arm around a homosexual and prayed for him on the streets. And that got back. Somebody reported that to the leadership of the Bible college, and I got called in. But you know what? That wasn't me doing that. I would have never done that in the natural. But it was the love of God on the inside of me, reaching out to people that before Jesus came into my life, I would have considered them undesirable. I would have probably beaten them. Do you understand that this love that John's talking about, it comes from God, not from you or me? It flows through us, but it comes from God. It is the most spiritual thing that you will ever do. Do you understand? For love comes from God. And anyone who loves is a child of God and knows God. What's the proof of something, of our salvation being authentic? Is that we love. It's not that we speak in tongues. It's not that we have miraculous healings. It's not that we have some display of power so that everyone will draw their attention towards us. The sign of being authentic is that we love, that we show love. And it says here, anyone who loves is a child of God and knows God. You see, we as believers need to understand that what the world is looking for, they're not looking for all kinds of supernatural manifestations. They're looking for love. Now, let me say this. Supernatural manifestations will happen in an atmosphere of love. You see, we as believers need to come back and we need to understand that the world's thinking, the world's point of view is hatred, selfishness, pride, arrogance, control, all of those things. But as believers, our worldview is that we need to love one another. And we need to show the world our love, our relationship with God through our love for one another. So I ask you today, will you begin to be conscious that you are allowing the love of God to flow through you? When you feel that urge to love someone that's undesirable, will you allow that to flow? I hope you will. Hey, we're looking forward to seeing you again tomorrow in our podcast.